Hi, Lee Phillips, and I'm going to talk to you for 2 seconds about your deed. I have people come to me all the time, and they have a deed, it's never been recorded, and they say, well, is this any good? And the answer is, yeah, it's good. You record a deed for basically a couple of purposes. One, to let the public know, and two, to preserve the deed. If you lose a deed that's not recorded, the deed's gone. It's bye-bye. If you record the deed and then you lose the original, the recording will still be effective. So it's important that you don't lose a deed that's not recorded, but it's certainly valid. And the attorneys, everybody makes mistakes in making out deeds, and often the recorder will look at the deed, if they're a good recorder, and they will say there is a problem with this deed. For example, and I have one or two of these cases a year, if you don't put the name of the trust, the date of the trust, and the trustee, all three of those elements have got to be on the deed, or the deed's no good. It didn't make a proper transfer into the living trust, and mom and dad and everybody are transferring these pieces of property into the living trust so that when they die, there's no probate. And it works really good. But you got to make sure that the deed is actually made out properly. And when you record the deed, often a recorder will pick up a problem. So I'd basically recommend recording the deed. The other thing is it like I say, prevents the issue if the deed's lost, but it also puts the public on notice that I don't own this anymore. It's now owned by a trust, or I don't own it. I've given it to my kid. Whoa, did you see a word there? Give it to my kid? Never put the kids' names on a deed. People try and avoid probate. It's what's called a dresser drawer deed. And they will put the kid's name on the deed and then put the deed in the dresser drawer. And when mom and dad die, the kid goes to get the deed. He goes down and files the deed so that there's no probate. The problem is that is a gift. And the kid has to take mom and dad's original basis. Mom and dad have lived in the house for 40 years. He can't prove the basis. If you can't prove the basis, the IRS says the basis is 0. So he's going to pay tax on the entire value of the property, whereas if it came to him because of the death, through probate, through a will, through a trust, whatever, the death triggered the transfer, not the writing out of the deed. If it comes because of the death, then it gets a step up in basis to the value on the day it has when mom and dad died. Kid sells it next week, no tax. So you've got a $500,000 piece of property today. If you're running with a 0 basis, I mean, you're paying like $75,000 in tax, even on a capital gain? No. So don't put kids' names on deeds. And don't try the trick of not recording the deed. So learn to use the trust. I guess that's the bottom line. Click below. I've got a whole ebook on how to use a living revocable trust. It's good. I'm a good writer. I'm not boring. Well, not as boring as most lawyers anyway. And so get the ebook and learn about your trust and then use it. All right? Now don't forget to love us and like us and do whatever you do out there in cyberspace to help us out, because we're putting out, I think, pretty good content. And by the way, if you've got something that you haven't seen answered on the YouTube channel, give us a shout. Put it in the comments below, and we'll see if we can address that, because we get suggestions every once in a while, and a lot of them we act on. You guys know what you need. Let me know. Lee Phillips,